Hey guys, Clay Edwards here. I want to tell you real quick about RC Lawn Care. My buddy Richard Coley is going to be the guy you need to contact for all of your lawn maintenance needs. You can reach him at 601-502-3529. They offer roof to curb service, blowing off the roof, gutter cleaning, basic lawn care including mow, trim, edge, and blow, full lawn cleanup, trash removal, garden supplies delivered, pine straw installs, driveway and sidewalk pressure washing. If grass is growing, you need RC Lawn Care Mowing. Again, 601-502-3529. Richard Coley at RC Lawn Care, proud sponsor of the Clay Edwards Show podcast.
All right, you've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course... Oh, not this crap again. Check.
Check.
Let's just do it like this, no headphones.
Okay.
So we don't have to hear the feedback.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the Clay Edwards Show. Here with SHAUN YURTKURAN on 103.9. SHAUN, what's going on, brother?
Oh, not much, man. Just nice to have. I think it's the first day it's going to be in the 80s. Isn't that the high today? Like 86?
Sounds great. It felt great when I walked outside this morning.
It did. I got about 5 and I walked the dog, and it was really, really nice outside. So finally, after months upon months of brutal, unmitigated heat.
Terrible. Hey, I saw a funny story yesterday, and I was thinking about something coming in here. It was on the New York Post. I don't think I saved it, and I'll go to it and look. But I saw somebody else posted a meme or sent me a TikTok or a Snapchat or something that said, everybody dates loose woman at one point in their life.
Yeah, sure.
It builds character.
Sometimes marries them. Right.
Something builds character.
Yeah.
I saw this thing on the New York Post kind of tie all this together about, it was something about Elon Musk. His friends say his history of dating toxic women and whatnot have prepared him for war.
Oh, is that what? Okay, it was that bad.
Like this war that he's going into with the government and everybody. And I was like, that is so true. Like a couple really toxic women will really prepare you for anything else and any other battles you'll go through in life, or toxic relationships, whether it's man, woman, whatever.
Sure.
I mean, I'm a guy, so I'm going to prefer to women. But
yeah,
women out there, toxic men, they prepare you for things in life. Those type relationships. And it's like stuff just rolls off as you get a little older after a couple of bad relationships. Well,
I think it becomes kind of like predictable. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
You just kind of when you're like 28 or so, you're like, oh well, what's going on here? I can't believe she's doing this or whatever. One time you're like 44, you're like, oh well, here's the next step in this process. Here's what's going to happen tomorrow. You just get kind of used to it. It doesn't bother you as much anymore.
No. So I just thought it was funny because apparently the government is upset with Elon. All the pro-war, pro-Ukraine folks were upset with Elon because he cut off access to SpaceX.
I saw that.
Didn't allow Ukraine to send bombs to Russia or something.
I thought he did it, though, because he was, what I read, and just like a week ago, I think, was that he was worried about that starting, that portion of it, whatever was going on, and I didn't go too in-depth in it, that he was worried about that setting off a nuclear war.
Yeah.
That was his concern, which, I mean, is a legitimate concern. I think,
absolutely. I mean, and it's also, now, I'm sure a lot of that is government contract stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't imagine that he privately funded SpaceX with no government. I
think is it a public-private partnership? I'm not exactly sure.
Sure.
I know NASA's helping him with it. I know that. I don't know about the money situation.
And I could be completely wrong on this. I am not in the nuts and bolts of SpaceX's business over here or Tesla's business, but I know that Tesla only exists because of government rebates on, the only reason you can afford a Tesla is through government rebates on electric cars and all that stuff.
Right.
They were climate change, yada, yada, yada.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure SpaceX and NASA are working in conjunction with each other.
Yeah,
right?
I knew that.
Whether the funding is, I don't know how the funding's works, but I knew that much, which makes sense. I mean, that's what NASA does, that they would actually partner and do that kind of stuff. I don't know if they're partnered with, what's Bezos, Blue Origin? Is that the name of his, I something like
space.
that. Yeah, I keep wanting to say Blue Oyster, but
Blue Origin. I think is that the private space.
I think that's Bezos' group.
That's Bezos' group.
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
think that's his. And then Richard Branson's got his Virgin
Atlantic.
Right,
stuff.
the ones that are doing that too. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I like these eccentric billionaires. I don't necessarily care for their politics, but I do think that they're the modern day men who built America.
Yeah, they are, and it's a different aspect, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's a good analogy.
They're the Rockefellers, the
Carnegies.
Carnegies. There's the word I was looking for. Yeah. They are, whether people like that or not. That's who these people are.
I mean, Jeff Bezos. I mean, I'll just use him as an example. Has revolutionized the way we shop, for one thing, and then I mean, it's it's hard to remember what life was like before Amazon at this point.
Yeah,
where just everybody's so used, and it happened so quickly with Amazon too, because I think if you go back to even like 2015,
in a generation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about even like less than 10 years. Like, even if you go back to like 2015, I don't think everybody was using Prime quite the way they are now. Now we just use it for everything, and of course, the pandemic exacerbated that. Because then everybody got on there and started using it. And then, of course, he's got his cloud, their cloud service is, runs everything. So, I mean, it's been, and then Elon as well, and of course, and I think you just mentioned like the attacks on him, which there's so many attacks on Elon lately. I need like a flow chart. Like, there's just been so many, like, there was something about him being anti-Semitic. I saw like a week. I didn't read it. I just saw the headline.
ADL are at war.
Something happened where,
ADL are being backed, but they are a far left group, but they're being backed by some other far left groups to do these false attacks and try to cost them sponsorships and this, that, and the other on X. It's not working. They're posting fake information. I actually have an interesting breakdown. Let me pull my X up here real quick of kind of what's going on with him. But Elizabeth Warren, or Pocahontas, made a statement, something to the extent of trying to nationalize SpaceX.
Oh, okay. Did she? Do you remember when you said Pocahontas? And I just still think it's so funny when Trump was calling her that, and then she like released her DNA report, and it was like 0.1%. She was like, but she had like a little celebration. You remember that? Like, it was like this, like, oh my God, look at this 0.1% that I'm Native American.
All right, let's see here. This is interesting. It says, this is Mario Nafal. He says, Elon killing Twitter ? Walter Isaacson admitted that Walter Isaacson admitted he thought Elon would blow Twitter up, but realized over time that turning into X, which is what Elon always wanted. Walter wasn't alone, as the media created a false narrative in an attempt to sabotage X as a threat. Here's a few examples. 1. Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter will destroy freedom of speech, not protect it, from Market Watch. Instead, Elon reinstated many banned accounts for practicing free speech, including President Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Babylon Bee, ALX, which is a dude named Alex. He's a producer of the Benny Johnson Show, banned for questioning mask mandates. The Krasenstein twins, they were just, and they're far left liberals, but they were just kind of scapegoats because, well, you got to delete somebody on the other side, which I enjoy following them. I do. I mean, I like to argue with them, but I enjoy following them. Right. They make good points, kind of rational left-wing points, kind of like you. He says, since Elon has implemented many changes to defend free speech and mitigate hate speech on the platforms, he also sued anyone that tried to stifle free speech, including California 2 days ago, I saved this like 2 days ago, so we'll say last week. 2, Twitter users flock to other platforms as the Elon era begins, according to Wired. Well, fact check. In November, Elon Musk shared that signups were averaging 2 million per day in the last 7 days, up 66% compared to the same time in 2021. In March, he posted, this platform is growing fast. We just exceeded 8 billion user minutes per day. I don't know if that's a lot in social media world, but that sounds like a lot. Even after they released this data, a CNN article said, Elon Musk has officially killed Twitter. The zombie platform lives on as X, a disfigured shell of its former self. They refused to accept they were wrong. Meanwhile, Meta's Twitter competitor died within weeks. Threads said Elon just blew up Twitter verification and will destroy Twitter in the process, says TechRaider. This attack stopped as soon as Instagram copied the same strategy, charging for verification. It's just on and on and on, man.
No, I know I mean, it's scary. It's kind of like, I think you and I were talking about this past weekend, and maybe we were on like a text thread with Kim Wade or something discussing that case for the Fifth Circuit where the Biden administration had tried to, stifle some speech on these platforms, and how that was
No, they didn't try.
Well, they did, and then you're right, exactly, and they, and you and I, and we'd all, and I think I made the comment. I said, 30 years ago, liberals, we were trying to prevent this kind of stuff from happening, and now here it is, where there's this. The Biden administration is trying to stifle speech on these platforms, or did try, attempted. I don't know exactly what exactly happened, but they and which is almost Orwellian, and that's what's kind of scary about.
Well, they tried to start a ministry of truth,
right, exactly, and that's a scary thing. And I think like Elon to me is the person that's kind of standing in the way of a lot of that, and they don't like, and a lot of people don't like him because of that, because he's willing to do that.
And verification, I keep saying SpaceX. It's Starlink that with
Starlink.
Yeah. Thank you, Texter, on the Guns of Your text line. Let me read the text in full for context here. It says it's not SpaceX, but his satellite internet company, Starlink, and Elon blocked. Yeah, so that was it. And I don't think, unless you just want World War III, why are you? It's not Elon's job to provide resources to Ukraine.
Or anybody for that matter. I mean, it's his
anybody.
company. I mean, he can do what he wants to do. I mean, whatever I just feel like he's just becoming the scapegoat for a lot of things where he's like, oh, Elon is, it's always in a headline, Elon is, anti-Semitic, or Elon said this, or Elon's crazy, or Elon, I mean, I think it's because people are mad at him because he's getting up there and he's speaking his mind. He's saying, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to stifle speech on my platform. You may not like the things I say, and it is what it is. I don't know. I think the guy's kind of my hero in my mind. I know that's not a popular opinion, but
they're trying to punish him for having a dissenting opinion. I feel like we're in Iron Man 2, where they've called him to Congress to testify in front of Congress. And they say, we want the Iron Man power. We want the Iron Man suit for the government. And he's like, no. Elon is Tony Stark.
Yeah.
He's a real life Tony Stark. We are living in Iron Man. Hollywood, right again.
Right a bit. Put Elon. And also I think the other thing I hear criticism. I mean, people say he's weird. Well, he's a genius. He's probably a little bit on the spectrum or something. I mean, he's this guy. I mean, he's not. They say his like social skills are weird. Well, yeah, I'm sure they are. I mean,
most people who think like that. There's an old song called "Underwear Goes Outside the Pants." It's like a comedy skit on top of some techno. Y'all, it's on YouTube. Underwear goes outside the pants, and there's this line, and it talks about Bill Gates. Now, I hate Bill Gates, but it's like, do you think Bill Gates decided to take over the world with computers because things were going great in his life?
Yeah,
he said you had to spend a lot of time with your underwear shoved up your butt, locked in a locker in school before you decide I'm gonna take over the world with computers. You'll see.
Yeah, I don't think Bezos was the coolest dude, or Zuckerberg. Obviously, I mean, none of these. I mean, you can kind of see with Zuckerberg. Like, I don't think any of these guys, but I mean, that's maybe why they are where they are.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a lot of time to focus on whatever it is your thing is, and a lot of people on the spectrum. And I don't mean this is no insult, but no stretch of imagination. I want to make sure I'm very, very clear here. We're allowed to talk about this. But the one thing I've noticed about people on the spectrum, whether it's autism or Asperger's, is that they get hyper focused on whatever it is that they focused on, whether it's dinosaurs or computers.
Yeah,
they are the expert on that thing, and that's all they flood every bit of energy into that. It would do us all some good to flood our efforts into something and see what came from it. That's what I try to do with this show here, is try to flood my effort into this, but I still have other outside interests that like a life.
Yeah, I mean,
and I try to balance, and that just does not allow for this to be the most informative show in the world, because I'm not going to sit down. I'm not going to read everything about everything. Just ain't going to do it. All right, let's take a break. Come back. Let's get on some Jackson stuff, man. The pimp is in the house. Pimping ain't easy in Jackson, and a legendary restaurant closing after 83 years. We'll talk about it on the other side of the break here. This is the Clay Edwards Show with SHAUN YURTKURAN on 103.9 FM WYAB.
Are you thinking about going out this weekend? Are you thinking about messing around and finding out? Well, when you do mess around and find out, you may end up in jail, whether it be Hinds County, Rankin County, Madison County, or any of the little towns in between. And if you do, hey, look, I have a long and glorious history of messing around and finding out. And I wish I'd had a bail bondsman like Liberty Bail Bonds. If you end up in jail this weekend, get out of jail by calling 825-1077. That's Liberty Bail Bonds, serving Jackson and all surrounding areas. So if you mess around and you find out, call Liberty Bail Bonds and they'll bond you out. 601-825-1077.
All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We are live here on 103.9 FM, WYAB. This segment is going to be brought to you by our friends over at, Stonington Farms messaged me last night. Let me pull that up real quick, tell you when they're going to be in town. Let me see here. Miss Katie Stonington is coming up here, I believe. It says, hey, Clay, this is Katie with Stonington Farms Beef. I'll be in the Jackson area, Florence, Brandon, and Ridgeland on Friday, September 22nd. So that's next Friday. Get your orders in now for that grass-fed, grass-finished, grass-fed difference. That beef. You ask, where's the beef? It's right there at Stonington Farms. They're going to be bringing it up here. Like I said, 3 local drop-off locations. Go to stoningtonfarm.com. That's Stonington with 2 N's, farm.com. Get you some ribeyes, some chuck eyes, some sirloin, some flank steak, some hamburger meat, some ribs. They got it all. They got bone broth, too. Legit bone broth. That's great source of protein. Great for cooking, flavor, and all that stuff. I got a couple pints of it in my freezer I need to use. Anyway, check them out, man. mRNA free, steroid free, antibiotic free. Stonington Farm Beef. All right. So let's see here. Let's talk about pimping ain't easy. Man.
It's the most Jackson thing ever, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Man, let me get the audio. Keep talking.
You said this on TikTok yesterday, and I completely agree. We're not making fun of giving a convicted felon a second chance. I think both of you and I have talked about this on air a million times.
I talked about it yesterday in nauseam.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that was kind of quite what you were saying, and I think we absolutely give people a second chance. That being said, it's still kind of funny that Chokwe hired a pimp. It's just as funny. It's just as funny. You know, I'm not saying he shouldn't have done it. It's just the appearance of it is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pro, especially our government. Mm-hmm. Should hire people. If we had to spend tax dollars rehabilitating you, then you should have to work for us at some point in time.
Yeah, and I got no problem with him having the job, to be honest with you, at all. Like, there wasn't any allegations that he was stealing money when he was fairground director, or whatever it was.
You know who does have a problem with it?
Oh, we know who.
Kenneth Stokes. Here's Kenneth Stokes' response.
Hell to the no. 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 Hell to the no.
I love it. That is forever going to be a classic clip. We've all got it saved to our phones now.
Oh, yeah.
It's immediately a GIF.
Can we make it a GIF on your iPhone where you can just hit that GIF button? We need to send it that. I don't know if there's a way to do that.
People are sending it to me as a... Yeah,
they already know how to do it.
Yeah, like I should create a GIF.
Create a GIF, just stick it in a little GIF file.
Oh gosh, so classic. But yeah, man. I mean, look, it's Steve Hutton, and I just got a text in about him. So I'm trusting that the information y'all send me is correct if I'm reading it on air. This is on the Guns and Gear text line. It says everybody forgot when Steve Hutton was fired as a reserve deputy as Madison SO for stopping young ladies and frisking them around 95ish. Madison first got the complaint and investigated it until they found out it was a Madison SO reserve deputy, which I guess would have been him.
Was him, huh?
And then, of course, he was fair commissioner. Is I got that right?
State fair director or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, my buddy Michael Lasseter has that position now down there, and he's a rock solid.
Director for the Mississippi Fair Commission.
Yeah, he's a rock solid indivical. Andy Gibson's got some great folks down there right now.
Yeah, he does. He really does. He's doing actually, we've joked about him most times as much as a character that Andy Gibson can be. He's actually doing a really good job.
Well, he plays a great character.
He does. I mean, he's a character.
I mean, as Ric Flair said it best, he's like, he got in trouble for living the gimmick. Like, he said Ric Flair the human versus Ric Flair the wrestler. I think Andy Gibson's living the gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, if you went to Central Casting and picked a guy to play an elected official in Mississippi for a movie, it'd be Andy Gibson.
Yeah,
he'd be the guy that you would pick. Like, that guy.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, I'm not even. Like I said, I'm not. I'm actually complimenting him. I think he's done a good job. I really do. But
let's transition back to pimping. Andy, we love you. Back to pimping here. I saw somebody, maybe you sent it to me. Somebody was complaining, Angelique Lee.
Yes.
The woman who allegedly doesn't even live in Jackson, but somehow won a seat on the board on the city council.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I don't like him being around kids and all. Like he ain't out there. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm guessing he ain't out there on the basketball court trying to convert kids to pimping.
Right. I saw.
Turning tricks.
Yeah, I sent that to you last night. I read that. I was like, come on, Angelique. You think he's a molester now just because he was out there pimping?
Yeah.
Like, it's a little different. I mean, it wasn't like he was accused of child molestation. He was promoting prostitution. And then I read the subsection that he actually pled to last night, and it was transporting prostitutes. Simplifying it, I guess he was bringing girls somewhere, maybe setting guys up around Madison or something. Reunion. This makes sense to me. I mean,
isn't that what they call human trafficking?
Yeah.
Sex trafficking. That seems to be the big thing here.
That's the.
I mean, was it trafficking?
Don't get me started on that one. Like that's it's everybody's getting trafficked now. That's what it is. But,
David says on the Guns of Gear text line, how was it listed on on his resume? Was it a pleasure consultant?
Pleasure. Well, I mean, that's what I was saying. He's like in charge of parks and recreation. I mean, he's got the recreation part down. I think he's pretty good for that.
I think what some people were upset about yesterday on the text line is that the city of Jackson removed the box to check, were you a felon? Have you been arrested for past crimes? And I think they replaced it with a question, unless it's relevant to this job.
Yeah, right.
I mean, shouldn't you be doing background checks?
I think you should. I think even though, again, like we said, we're both 100% for. I mean, I'd hire a convicted felon, no problem. But I did want to say some of these. I'm reading about the stuff from Kingfish's site, and some of the comments are kind of hilarious that are kind of prophetic for what happened. So one of them on the old post was like from 2020 was like, well, he'll definitely get a job with Hinds County when he gets out. and here we go. He did. And then this one is like, from his Hutton's bio, Steve Hutton speaks primarily in Sunday morning church settings, bringing a powerful message of how God has sustained their family through extreme pain and suffering. So, somebody hit his bio there.
Well, he hosts a Sunday night service, a Sunday session too, right?
Sunday session, right? Seminar for people with suffering from addiction, apparently.
That is immediately moved to the top of my bucket list.
Yeah,
I want to go to the pimp Sunday session.
And what kind of addiction?
Yeah, clearly sex.
Clearly, it's got to be sex that he's got.
Sex.
And so, again, look, man, I'm fine with him. I think it's funny, but I'm fine with him being the Parks and Rec director. I have no problem with that whatsoever. So I'm not even going to jump on Chokeway. But you can't be Chokeway and do all the things that you've done in the city and mess up all the things, and then the sprinkles on ice cream is I hired a pimp. Yeah. I mean, that's it. You just can't do that.
A white pimp too.
Yes.
If he was a black pimp, would Angelique Lee and Stokes care?
I think Stokes would still make the same comment. Yeah, I really believe Stokes would still make the same. If it's anything the mayor does, if you notice, every week Stokes is making the counter argument to it. I think what was it last week? He said something about, we ain't going to take the mayor's BS on whatever appointment. I can't remember which appointment it was. You remember?
The water department. Not the water.
The public works. Because the guy resigned yet again. And he came back and for a second time he's like, yeah, this is way messed. It's going to ruin my resume. He went somewhere else.
Yeah. So the WOBT story, maybe it was Kingfisher story, said that they were going to start a national search.
Yeah.
I was like, well, the last one ended so well.
Right.
With the guy quit twice in 2 weeks.
Maybe they can bring a guy from Ukraine or something. Like, he's the only one who would take the job.
How about hire somebody from Jackson? How about do it right, like we talked last week? Mm-hmm. Hire somebody who knows what the hell they're doing, and then hire a number 2 and a number 3 up under them, and let them work together.
Yeah.
And that way, if one person leaves, you've got somebody already in-house that can fill their shoes, like most businesses on earth.
Do you think Steve Hutton can also do the public works?
I mean, why not?
I mean,
there's so
maybe
many
he's versatile.
Comments, so many inappropriate comments.
That's what I was saying.
I don't think the kids are out of the cars yet.
No, it's a little early for that, right? But that's what I was like, okay. Steve Hutton, the pimp in charge of public works. So he was in charge of Pete Brown Golf Course prior to this, I think.
Is that a Jackson golf course?
Yeah, and I haven't been there. I remember last time I was there.
I've never swung a golf club in my life.
You never? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I have. I've played golf several times, but I'm not very good, and not in probably over a decade. But I did go to. Oh, you go to putt? I did go to Pete Brown back like in 2004 was the last time I think I went there.
Is that the one over by the zoo?
Yeah, kind of by the cemetery out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like on the way, yeah. And that huge cemetery, what's it called? You know, everybody.
If you hadn't asked, I'd have told you.
Yeah, I just can't remember.
can never. Is it Meadow Lawn?
Maybe that's it.
Shadow Lawn, Meadow Lawn, something like that.
And it was back then, like 20 years ago. It was kind of, you know, it was janky. I mean, it wasn't not, but I heard like he did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he brought the prostitutes out there. They cleaned up the trash and everything was great.
You're recovering prostitutes.
Or maybe the clubhouse got a lot more interesting.
Did you see?
When he was there?
Did you see the drone video I shared?
I did.
I don't know. It looked probably Philadelphia or some big city like that. But this guy took a drone and flew it over like the high prostitute dense areas, and they were like throwing bottles at it and running, and some of them were twerking, and it's just complete ridiculous. It's like how does your life get to that?
Hey, you know, I mean, everybody's got their thing, Clay.
All right, let's take a break. Come back. Let's jump into Beatty Street closing, man. Go take a trip
sad.
down memory lane. This is the Clay Edwards Show. If you guys want to chime in, the Guns of Gear text line, 769-241-1944. The phone line, 601-879-0002. Should Jackson have hired a former pimp? That's the question of the day. Pimping ain't easy. We'll be right back.
Hell to the now. Hell to the now. Hell to the now.
All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment going to be brought to you by our friends over at A1 Gear and Auto. Man, I tell you what, I love it when somebody can just be honest with me. And I had a good conversation with Justin over there yesterday, talking about trying to get a transmission fix or replacing a friend of mine's vehicle. And he said, man, we just can't. We just don't mess with it. It's just too many moving parts. Too much can happen. I can recommend you to somebody. It takes a lot for a shop to pass up that kind of job. That's a $5,000-$6,000 job. You know, replacing a transmission in one of these 2015 and up Silverados. And I was highly impressed that he would pass the buck on that to somebody else. I called somebody else. Long story short, I think we're just going to move on from the truck. But anyway, that's kind of customer service you get out there at A1 Gear and Auto. He'll tell you straight up if the juice is going to be worth the squeeze for him, if he can do it, if it's worth it for you. And he'll recommend you to somebody. He ain't going to spend a whole lot of time trying to diagnose something they know that they can't. It's just not what they do. And a lot of shops won't do that. A lot of shops be like, man, I got to make this dollar. And I'll just keep replacing parts until I figure out what it is. You ain't got to worry about that at A1 Gear and Auto. They're going to diagnose it properly. And, man, that is so important. Saves time, and time is money. You're not wasting money on parts you don't need. But, hey, look, they can do it all. Air ain't blowing cold. Check engine light on. They can fix everything. Got a roaring in the rear end, roaring in your ball joints, wheels, hubs, any of that. Let them take care of it there at A1 Gear and Auto. They specialize in ring and pinion. They're the leaders in the area in that, but they can do everything. You need brakes, they got you. So get out there, check them out. Right there on 49 South in Florence, Mississippi. The only thing they don't do is diesel engine repair. And like I say, man, you're getting these Jeeps, you're getting these big trucks. It's about to be hunting season, putting the big wheels and tires on them, lifting them up. Make sure you got the proper ring and pinion, the right size gears in there. You got to if you put them in the back, you got to put them in the front too. They got to match or your four-wheel drive won't work. Little FYI there. They'll get you working at A1 Gear and Auto. All right, Sean. Beatty Street. Jackson tradition, man. I've got so many Beatty Street stories closing after 83 years. And that thing's been handed down from generation to generation. I don't know. They haven't said publicly. I'm just going to assume that Jackson crime has played a large part in people not going down there to eat anymore, a lack of business. I'm sure COVID wreaked havoc on it.
Yeah.
Just the whole 9 yards. That road, what's that, West Street it's on?
It's always blocked off. I go that way all the time. Yeah.
I mean, it's bombed. If you try to go from West Street to Gallatin there, back under the interstate.
It's tough. But
under 80, it's bombed out. I mean, you can't drive under there.
It's pretty rough.
I mean, the city of Jackson's done them no favors. It's a sad day. I think it's really when you lose these traditions, when you lose the elite. We're getting ready to lose the Mayflower, from my understanding. It's for sale anyway, and nobody gonna buy it. Why would they? I mean, the amount of work you'd have to do to it to bring it up to code once it changes ownership or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or if you close it, if it stays open, you don't have to do it. If you close it to remodel, I mean, you have to rebuild the whole building.
Yeah.
Why would you do that in downtown Jackson at this point? what did I say? The elite. We're losing. I mean, Chriselle's is the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, from
Of these old school legendary Jackson restaurants.
That's true.
Get over to Chriselle's and enjoy it. They're not one of my sponsors, but I love them to death. If you grew up if you're our age, you're 40 or older, you grew up in and around Jackson, going to these legendary restaurants, you need to get out and support them. Beatty Street closes Friday. Get over to Beatty Street, man. Get you a fried bologna sandwich, a Beatty burger. I always like the sausage po' boy. They use that red rose sausage.
Yeah.
I mean, I've quit eating that kind of stuff, but my digest, ever since my diverticulitis, I can't eat that kind of stuff anymore. But I'd love to go get one last one.
You know, I mean, because I remember we moved to Mississippi in 1993, and one of the first things I heard, I was, of course, like 14 years old then or something like that, and was, okay, you guys have to go to Beatty Street. Like, that was like one of the first things I remember my Mississippi memories was like, that's where you need to go. This is like, of course, 30 years ago. And so we went there, and I remember me and my dad went and got a Beatty Street burger, which, of course, is a famous thing they've got there.
Sure.
And been going there ever since. So it's sad to hear that. There are a lot of those, you bring up those old Jackson restaurants. Like, I was thinking the other day, I was talking to somebody at CrossFit about, and I miss going to Bill's Greek Tavern. I used to go there all the time.
Yeah, we did too.
And you remember him? He used to like go around and sing and do all that stuff. Like those old Jackson establishment restaurants were just great. It's sad to see. You're right. I think Rochelle's may be the only one that I can think of that's, because Dennery's closed like 15, 16 years ago, pretty long time.
I mean, Martin's is that it's been around that a long, long time. I mean, not since the 30s and 40s.
Since 1953.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's changed, it's evolved, and a lot of these other places never changed or never evolved. And that is a part to it. But then sometimes the original is the mystique of it.
Yeah.
Retro becomes cool again, not dated.
Sure.
But there's always a line out the door there. People want to get a quick breakfast or a quick lunch. It was never about the dine-in lunch crowd. It was always about, it's a cafeteria, you get in, you get it to go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, I did see her on the news this morning before I got here, and she was saying that, they were just ready to retire. I guess it's her father had the restaurant, or grandfather, one of the two. And, but I mean, I think what you're saying is absolutely right. I mean, definitely that had to contribute, the crime, the infrastructure issues.
That was Skylar Lane's parents, the girl that was on
I remember that.
Idol.
That's right.
Because
Babes had a sign about go Skylar because it's close to Babes.
Yeah.
Like at that time, I remember.
There's a really good movie that was filmed here in Jackson called Dixieland. It's got Faith Hill in it.
Yeah, I know. I've never seen it. I know what you're talking about.
And the opening scene, they're interviewing like some old just meth heads and stuff, and the interview's in front of Beatty Street and Babes there.
Oh, okay.
So they're in a movie. Let's take a call real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, you're on there. Oh, they didn't stay on hold. Hey guys, if you call, just stay on hold. I got you. Yeah. Again, a sad day in Jackson when you start losing these things, but I can't really complain too much. I ain't been down there in 6-7 years.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, I drive that way, but I don't know that I've eaten there in a while.
Yeah, mine was just change of lifestyle. I mean, the kind of food down there just didn't settle with my lifestyle.
I think I'm going to go this week, though.
I'm going to have to. I'm going to find something. I can eat a hamburger. I don't know if I can do the sausage po' boy. I'm going to get something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or somebody's going and coming my way.
It just seems like something you got to do if they're really going to close Friday.
Yeah, let's take a call. Hey, you're on there.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, is Clay available?
Hey, this is Clay. You're on there.
Hey, what's up, Clay?
What's up?
So another one for you, too, my friend. Think about the Cherokee.
Yeah.
Cherokee, they tried to reinvent themselves, and it just didn't work out. It was this dive bar that had awesome food, awesome beer, and next thing you know, it just never could catch on in Northeast Jackson.
I beg to differ. It actually did very well for a long time. If my memory serves me correct, and I want to say throw all the allegedlys or whatever out there, what happened with them is what happens with a lot of places. They got in trouble with music licensing fees.
Something like that.
It was like the ASCAP BMI fees because they had jukebox and karaoke and all that. Those people will eat you up and sue you out of business.
They lost. I remember because, man, I was a big Cherokee guy before when it was on State Street. And they moved to that location, Northeast Jackson, in 2003.
Yeah.
And that lasted until about 2015, 2016, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they were there for quite a while, about a little over a decade.
Yeah, they did well. They did a great lunch business. I don't know how much nighttime business they did, but they did a bang-up lunch business.
They did okay. I didn't like. I mean, I had friends who used to like. There was an old crowd that would go over there, but it was never the same. I mean, it was obviously never the same for the old. It was never. But it did last for quite a while over there.
I mean, I think if you told anybody right now, hey, you're going to go open up in the last 10 years, They would sign up for that today.
Yeah. I mean, it was there for quite a while, but it just was never the same bar. It just, it wasn't like Lance. I think it was Lance and Coach that were behind the bar for years over at on State Street, and and you could obviously drink there when you were like 5, and nobody cared.
Well, they're in oh gosh, what's the other place around the corner from it? That was over there off of
the Dutch Bar. The Dutch Bar.
Thank you.
The Dutch Bar.
Yeah, Dutch Bar, same way, Sid and that whole setup. Good times.
What about CS's? Is it still around?
Yes, thank you, man.
Yes,
How can
it
I
is.
forget
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I've actually eaten there probably more recently than any of them.
I drive by it on the way here in the morning. So it's CS's.
Yeah,
Man, it's been 30 years since I've been out to CS's. I didn't even know if it was still kicking or not. So,
they
anyway.
reopened about 10 years ago, I think. I think they were closed for a long time and they reopened.
Did they?
That's what I remember. I think that's right.
I think it's
awesome.
No, it's open now. I'm just saying, I think they closed for a while and then they reopened about 10 years. I think that's
well, they didn't remodel while they were closed.
No, they did not.
All right, brother. Great call, man. Thank you. Yeah, CS is a great one. I don't. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't think CS ever closed.
Maybe I can't. I thought maybe they didn't. Maybe they've been open the whole time. I thought they had closed for some time. Because then who I ran into there. You're gonna like this. It was Miss Inez.
I hadn't seen her lately, but she was like my second mama for years.
Mm-hmm.
She's good people. Somebody told me she was working at Whataburger on 49.
Last time I was in CS, she was working there, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, she had been there in years. Well, she never came back from COVID.
Okay, yes, I haven't been there since before COVID. So.
Yeah, I'd asked last time I was there where Inez was, and because they got the Inez burger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was a fixture there.
Yeah,
like, even through all owning nightclubs and all that stuff over the years, Inez would always kind of dive back into working over at CS's here and there.
Right.
So yeah, good stuff. Let's see. We got some more text on the Guns and Gear text line about closed establishments. Yeah, somebody says Inez does work at the Whataburger in Richland. They're on 49. Need to go over there and see Miss Inez. Not to put her business all out there, so I do apologize. But, hey, we all love Inez.
She's a Jackson icon. I mean, she really is.
Somebody asked what CS stands for. I don't know. It's probably named after 2 kids or something, both C and an S. I have no idea. Crystal Springs.
I went to Millsaps, and the people that were older than me, before there was that gate around the school, everybody used to just walk over to CS's apparently, and that was like the big thing to do, and it really got a lot of student business back in those days. And obviously that's changed because they had to put that gate up. I don't know how. I think the gate's been over there over more than 20 years. I graduated in 2002, so it's been there for quite a while. Yeah,
Reagan chimes in on the Guns and Gear text line and says crime and roads. Loved Beatty Street back in the day. Those Beatty burgers were the best. Yeah, crime and roads can't help it. Let's see here. Mary Mac Harden is the sweetest lady and my friend. She is the best. I understand that. I guess that's the lady that owns Beatty Street.
Mm-hmm.
That was Charlotte letting us know. Richard says lines are. He's in there right now. He said lines are long to get their last sandwich. He's sending some pictures from inside Beatty Street now. So there's some folks. What does it say? Lines are long. Yeah, I don't know, like one person in line. Anyway. Let's take a break, come back, land the plane for the first hour, get ready for hour 2. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Richard Hammock, you in Beatty Street. I want a sausage po' boy. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We got a couple minutes left of this hour here. We'll hold off on ad reads since it's an end of the hour with it. Let's read a few texts from the Guns and Gear text line real quick, man. Let's see. Tony chimes in on the text line and says, I clicked the wrong one. Says, I have been eating at Beatty Street for at least once, sometimes twice a week over the past 8 years. I am truly going to miss it. Your cholesterol will not, my friend. Nah, I kid. We have found out what Siesta stands for. We cannot repeat that on the air.
Yeah.
Brad says Bill's Greek Tavern. Let's see here. Just talking about some of the legendary places. I still miss Lamar. The Lamar Cafe.
Yeah.
Right there.
Is that Chris Grillis, I guess?
Huh?
Was that Chris Grillis' place?
I'm not sure who owned it. I thought it's right there, It's where I guess it's.
I know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly where it is.
On the corner of Pearl Street and Lamar Street.
Where 4th Avenue Lounge is kind of right now, right there. Yeah.
Same thing. Or same place. Man, they had the best veal cutlets. I know a lot of different places claim to have the best veal cutlet. Elite had a good one, yada, yada, yada. They're all great, but my personal favorite was the Lamar.
They were supposed to reopen the Elite a couple years ago, and I think like an Indian family bought it, and I never heard. It didn't seem like it's materialized.
Must not have happened.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I was told a couple years ago.
You know, when they sold that or when they shut it down, they were trying to sell it, and then they shut it down. I would think you could have leased that thing out to somebody.
It's a cool building. It's a really cool looking building. Oh yeah, I mean, because
I think there's going to be a want for nostalgia.
It'd be a great bar. I mean, I think it'd be a great bar.
All that turquoise booths and stuff in there.
Yeah,
I think it looks really cool. I'm just going to say this. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if black folks. Let's just be honest. That's the demographic in Jackson. It is what it is. I don't know if black folks have this feel for 50s, 60s nostalgia, Americana type stuff like white folks did because of the strife they went through in that era.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When
they wouldn't feel nostalgic for that.
Obviously.
Yeah,
but still, do you think the architecture, the furniture, that type stuff, would still be a draw because like this is old school America. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about a group of people that apparently hate old school America, and I can't blame them based on what happened to them in old school America.
Wasn't very good to them.
So maybe if it was out in Rankin County, it'd be different. But hey, look, we'll pick it up on the next hour. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. All right, you've tuned back into the Clay Edwards Show here on 103.9 FM WYAB. This segment is going to be brought to you. You just heard them there, man. New sponsor. We talked about them yesterday. I figure we got Sean in the studio. We'll talk about him for just a minute. That's Men's Health in Mississippi. You can find them online, menshealthms.com. That's menshealthms.com. They're located right out there in Madison. I'm not going to bog you down with the address and phone numbers and all that. That's what the website's for, menshealthms.com. Guys, are you lacking sex drive? Well, maybe you got a little ED. I know these are hard things to talk about, but you probably got low testosterone. Are you in a bad mood all the time? Muscle mass, not motivated, lack of drive, lack of focus. Low testosterone is probably the answer to these problems. Women, I know we got women listeners out there too. Same thing. That testosterone can be a game changer. It's been a game changer for me, Sean. You've been on it how long now?
Yeah, since the beginning of June.
June?
Yeah, beginning of June.
How do you feel different?
Terrific. Like I was telling you before we started this morning that they didn't have my prescription ready yesterday, and I was like, yesterday's the day I take it. And I was kind of freaking out. So when the show's over, I'm going straight to the pharmacy. I might inject myself in the car. It's like
a junkie getting a testosterone fix.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, well, because it really, the thing I love about it too, when the first few days when you take it, you feel so energetic. So when I go to the gym every day, and I'm like, I really kind of kill it like for 3 days in a row. Mm-hmm. It starts kind of tapering off towards the end of the week. But then when you do another one, it's great. It really is.
Yeah. So I do a CC a week, and a lot of people. That's just what my dosage is. But some people are like, well, have you thought about doing a half on, say, Sunday and a half on Wednesday? Mm-hmm. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, but that feels like a lot of the forums I've read that some people say that they get a better because it wanes off.
I tried that for a couple weeks. Yeah. I didn't really. It kind of
like
threw me off my rhythm. So I just went back to the other way I was doing it. Yeah.
And it splits your dose. I just don't know if you're going to get that initial feeling.
I didn't.
That you get from the full CC. I think I'd rather just get the full CC on Sunday nights than I do mine.
Yeah.
And I sleep good that night. I wake up Monday. I'm ready to rip.
Mm-hmm. It really is. It's a great thing. And I mean, it's not just like working out, which the working out part is really wonderful, but it's all the other things, the benefits you get from it. Sleep and certain things work better.
Well, you know what testosterone does is it works like a dopamine.
Yeah,
and we understand how dopamine hits work. Whether it's a like on Facebook or the feeling you get when a pain pill kicks in, the dopamine receptors kick in. It rewards accomplishment.
Yeah,
and testosterone helps that. It rewards you start getting these dopamine hits when your testosterone level's high when you accomplish things, whether it's work, at the gym, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And it's like a natural high all the time. It feels great.
It really does. And I'm I just I had done a blood test, and they said I needed it earlier this year, and it wasn't because I was going specifically to do it. Mm-hmm. It was something other medical stuff I was dealing with, but I'm just glad it happened. I'm glad they're like, yeah, like this is what you need to do, and it's really kind of this summer actually. It's really made my work life terrific because that time when my biggest problem I noticed was around the afternoon I was getting really unfocused about 3:00, and I get up really early anyway, so I was just chalking it up to being tired. But then now I started doing this, and that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it's great. I can't recommend it enough, guys. If you're over 35 or so, frankly, if you're over 30 and you're feeling sluggish, the lack of morning wood, I can go on and on. There's a lot of signs out there. Do a little research. Give Scott and them a call over there at menshealthms.com, at Men's Health Mississippi, and you can check them out online at menshealthms.com. Worst case scenario, you get your numbers checked, you don't need it, and you can rest easy. Move on to see what else it is that could be bogging you down. Best case scenario, you need it, and you can feel great. All right, that is your testosterone update here. Get out there, get your numbers checked at Men's Health Mississippi. All right, Sean, tell us about this David Archie stuff.
Well, as we all know, we saw in the last few weeks there was the David Archie claims that there was a high-tech election fraud heist, high-tech election heist. That's what he called it, I think. And
he did all he could not to say stolen election theft. Didn't want to use any words that Trump had used.
No, he just really didn't. And then he had a press conference, I think, the day after the primary election where he had that lady, Cynthia Walker, who, she kind of like reminded me of Sidney Powell, and she was just yelling about all this stuff that had happened and all this stuff they were going to prove. Of course, at that conference, they never showed any evidence. They just said they had it and went forward. Anyway, they filed something before the Hinds County Democratic Executive Committee, and they had that hearing. I think it was on Saturday via Zoom. Is what they did, because I clicked on a little bit of it. I saw something on Facebook, and so the executive committee yesterday afternoon denied their petition, and so he has filed that in circuit court. So that's his next process. He's going to circuit court, and I think they appointed Judge Barry Ford out of Tupelo. I think that's what I heard yesterday. I haven't seen that formally anywhere, but that's what I've been told. I don't know if that's true though. And they'll hear that before the circuit court of Hinds County. I read through his petition, and what's interesting, Clyde, I was telling you this at the break. There's things that he alleges in there that were basically they didn't follow a proper procedure. So that seems to be, accurate, where there were many things that they didn't do properly. And that's his.
Paint me shocked.
Yeah, right, and it's exactly. I think we were just talking about the pimp that got appointed parks director. So I'm not really shocked that they weren't following proper procedure, but and that's kind of his main gripe, that there was not a voter signature book, digital images of ballot, the media cards were lumped in all together, like from all the precincts in Hinds County, not just that precinct. Apparently not the way you're supposed to do it. That being said, he didn't allege anything or have any evidence of anything, at least, that he put forward in his allegations of actual instances of fraud. These were just improper procedures. They weren't actually like, hey, this is where a ballot was, like a fake ballot was put in, or all these fake ballots were pushed in. And also, they've got all the paper ballots. They just didn't, again, follow the proper procedures like they're supposed to do. But I haven't seen where Mr. Archie's alleged specifically what fraudulent ballots there were. He's made a reference to Jackie Amos in something she said in a text message that was negative to him. That's the only thing that I could see, that he's saying that she had some animus towards him, which apparently a lot of people do. And so he's using that as one thing. And then also I sent this to you last night. There's this Facebook group where where Cynthia Walker, David Archie, Sidney Powell was talking about what happened with the executive committee yesterday, and C.J. LeMaster asked her a pretty good question, said, hey, look, where do you have evidence that Tony Johnson was running Anthony Smith's campaign? Can you please show us this evidence? And she didn't respond to that comment, so yeah, I thought it was a good question.
Well, like I told you during the break, this bunch over in Hinds County, for whatever reason, feels like the rules do not apply to them, procedure does not apply to them, it's always loosey-goosey. It creates doubt. These rules are in place for a reason. Mm-hmm. They must follow them. I know that's the hardest thing to do. It's the white supremacy set these rules up, and they don't like following what the white supremacy says and all that nonsense. There must be a new election, and rules and procedures must be followed in Hinds County. Otherwise, it's not a legitimate election.
I can see where I feel differently. I don't think that there needs to be a new. I think the total was pretty obvious, but I agree with you on the. But it creates doubt. It does create doubt. I agree
for those totals to be tinkered with.
Right, but unless he's got some evidence that had happened, which so far what I've seen he does not. have any evidence that happened. Now, if he puts forth that before the circuit court, that's another matter. Then, yes, I'd say, okay, let's redo this thing. But until he does that, I don't think that they should do that. But I get where you're coming from 100%, where, like, they need to follow procedure properly, and that creates doubts in people's minds. So, I mean, I could see where somebody would say, we should do this again just based on that. I just feel differently on that, Pat, based on, especially on the vote totals.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it creates doubt.
It does create doubt. I mean, no dispute with that. I mean, it does.
I mean, they need to be taught a lesson. Mm-hmm. You know, if you let this slide, well, then what is it next time? The next time somebody doesn't say anything, so it ain't no big deal. Mm-hmm. No, I respect David, win or lose, that he's willing to fall on the sword. I mean, his motives are maybe different, whatever, but Hinds County has got to get their crap together.
I mean, 100%. They should. Like, the way I'm reading through his allegations, and if true, which it seems like they possibly might be, the way they didn't follow procedure, that's a problem, and I don't know why they're not doing it correctly. My other problem is this, though,
because they're lazy and they think the rules don't apply to them. They ain't nobody's going to follow up. We're in charge of this. You know, we'll just do it the way we want to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that ain't you don't get to do that.
No, I mean, you shouldn't be. I mean, you're right. You shouldn't be able to do that. One thing, though, I'll also say, though, David Archie's making a lot of allegations in the media, right, through that fraud occurred, right?
Yeah.
And he's not shown anything to prove that yet. So I think he also needs to show that. If he has that evidence, then he needs to show that. If that's something that he's got, he says he has, but we've not seen that yet. I think he needs to show that too. Just where Hinds County messed up, I don't think you get to get out there and say, I've got all this evidence of fraud, but you don't have it. Like, I don't think you should be able to do that either.
Yeah, but it creates doubt.
Well, certainly with what Hinds County did, it does. I'm talking about, do you think David Archie should say he's got evidence of fraud when he doesn't?
Who says he doesn't?
Well,
Maybe he's saving it for court.
Well, then that's what I'm saying. Let's see it. If he's got it, let's see it in court. And then I think that changes this whole thing up if he's actually got the evidence of fraud. But if he doesn't, I think that's a big problem too.
You know, somebody just texted in. This is a great point. It's like the issue at JPS with the testing not being conducted correctly. Mm-hmm. I mean, this bunch that's running Jackson and Hinds County just does whatever they want. And when they get called out on it, but you know, just do it right. Win or die by doing it right.
Yeah.
I mean, live or die, win or lose.
Yeah, I don't blame David for calling it out. Right? I mean, he should. You know, I think we all needed to hear that the procedures were not followed properly.
Now, here's my problem: is if he had won, he wouldn't be saying anything.
No, not a thing.
The procedures not being right would have been just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other side.
And didn't he call this out on another election that there was fraud that he was involved in?
I'm sure
I thought I read that last night. I haven't looked it up yet, but I think that he may have done that too.
I don't know. I think Hinds County should have to pay for another election. And then if he wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet there's fraud in the next one.
Well, let's see what happens.
Now they want to keep him out so bad.
Yeah, right.
That,
I mean,
you know,
I think they always wanted to keep him out. I think there was a lot of people, you know, but apparently if the vote totals are legitimate, which I'm assuming that they are, then a lot of these citizens wanted to keep him out as well. Right. But but we're about to see what he's got in court too. So let's see, like he says, there's all this fraud that he's got evidence of. Well, David, show us.
You know, like I want to say there's massive voter fraud in Hinds County, but the only thing that keeps me from saying it is dang near the entire board of supervisors just got flipped.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's only one or two people left over there that have any experience.
Like yeah.
You know, Robert Graham and I don't even know who the other.
Who's the other guy? Bobcat? Did Bobcat win?
Bobcat or Creedell?
One of the. Yeah, I can't remember.
Again, my heart. I don't care what happens. I think it's a bunch of clown. I think it's a clown world in Hinds County. I hate it for the good people that still live there. I hate it for my parents. I hate it for you. I hate it for a few people. But it's a clown world, and I think you're just replacing one clown with another.
Well, that's historically that's been the trend, right? That's been the trend. We can't really, you know.
And I think that's why the state doesn't care. Mm-hmm. I think that's why the federal government doesn't care. Is because they just look at it like this: when it's this high clown density area, mm-hmm. They say, "Man, it doesn't matter who stole it from who. It's just one clown replacing another clown." The circus goes on in Hinds County, Mississippi.
I mean, it's been like that for quite a while.
Yeah, let's take a call real quick. Hey, brother.
Hey, so, yeah, I mean, as good of a job David Archie seemed like he was trying to do it, and it does seem like he was trying to do a good job. I think people actually voted him out because they were just tired of the, of this clown and circus that y'all were talking about that he was putting on. It was just like him breaking stuff, being like drug out of the city council, board of supervisor meetings, and then just the back and forth between him, Credell, and Vernon is just, I think that got the most of everybody. That's why they all three lost.
I tend to agree. Again, I think Hinds County should be taught a lesson for proper procedure and have to run another election. That's just my personal opinion. Just hey, you're gonna get it right, and we're gonna and Michael Watson and the state need to step in and supervise this thing. I don't know what the Secretary of State's office role is in elections. If it ain't this, somebody
is it Lynn Fitch or is it? I don't know who does.
Secretary of State's in charge of elections.
Secretary of State's in charge of elections.
Secretary of State. Okay.
So maybe it's only statewide elections he's in charge of, not county. So I give that caveat there. Maybe they're not. Maybe each county.
I don't even think he wants the headache. It's just like the water crisis. Until it became like a nationwide issue, Tate Reeves is just like, I don't really care about that. That's y'all's problem.
Like I said, I just think it's clown world down there, and they don't care who gets in because it's just replacing one clown with another. And I'm not just talking about Archie. I just mean period. Whether it's the mayor of Jackson, or it's the Hinds County Board of Supervisors, the city council, and it ain't just Jackson. It's all these areas similar to Jackson across America, similar to Hinds County across America. What does it matter? You're just replacing one person with another that's going to do the exact same thing.
But the caveat is that in all of this nonsense, Kenneth Stokes is like the only person in Jackson making sense, right?
And everybody's saying that, and that's everybody I think agrees. It's like the most bipartisan thing I ever heard of. Like Kenneth Stokes is the only person in the entire city of Jackson that makes any sense.
10 years ago, nobody would have said that. He was the biggest clown in the city.
He was 100. He called me a slave master on the radio 8 years ago. I've told you about that story.
Yep.
When we were prosecuting, and I kind of thought it was funny. I was like, YURTKURAN, we didn't have any slaves in Turkey, but that's what he did. So
I was saying the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Now I like him, So.
But I don't even think it's Hinds County. I think it's just America at this point, to be honest with you. Listening to Kim Wade's show yesterday, I have a different opinion on the 2020 election. I'm a person that is, okay, I'm open to believe not anything, but like it wouldn't shock me if certain things were true. You know what I'm saying? Like if something came out, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that. But at this point with the 2020 election, I'm just like, if everyone thinks the system is so corrupt and immoral, then I hate to say lower yourself to the standards, but it's just like, if you don't trust in the voting process anymore, then why are you still voting, or why not do the same thing at this point?
Yeah, I think back to one of your other points, though, with David Archie and the fighting and the arresting and the Board of Supervisors. When you're elected official, you have to have some sense of decorum. Some sense of decorum, I would think you would. And even, people would say, okay, Donald Trump's bombastic, but he's never, gone to a fight with anybody. He's just been loud. He's never acted a fool or anything like that. So, I think there's a limit you can go to it, but David has just acted in a way that we just don't expect our elected officials to act.
Yeah, I just got a text here on the Guns and Go text line. It says, I agree with most of the things you say, but why would you back an embarrassing clown like Archie and you think after seeing act a fool every day? I'm not saying I back Archie. I'm just saying that it's just if it ain't Archie, it's somebody else. The whole thing has been a clown show for a long time. I ain't got no problem with Archie. He has done some good stuff. He's done some things I don't agree with too. But you had to. Most politicians don't do everything that Clay thinks they should do. Neither did Donald Trump. I disagree with a lot of things he did, but I can support him overall.
Yeah, it's just like Kenneth Stokes. Kenneth Stokes acts a fool, and he acts an ass all the time. But I mean, the people of his area like him, and he gets stuff done. I mean, so it's just like,
what do you do? Pick your poison.
That's a good example, though. You think about over the years, Kenneth Stokes has acted in a certain. I don't know. It's been a little bit different than David.
Hold that thought. We got to take a break. Appreciate the call, brother.
Okay, yeah, you too, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show with SHAUN YURTKURAN. Hey, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here on 103.9 FM. WYAB. Guys, get down to Martin's downtown for lunch today. Let's see what they got on the menu for the plate lunch of the day real quick here before we move on. I want to get back into this David Archie stuff pretty quick here, so we're going to keep this quick. The plate lunch of the day is Wednesday. It's meatloaf. I love meatloaf. Sean, do you like meatloaf?
Oh, heck yeah.
I love meatloaf. And look, man, don't forget, you can always just order off the menu. They have a ribeye steak gyro that is to die for. Of course, the country fried steak is always great. The boss hog fries, the grilled chicken nachos, their mozzarella sticks. Y'all know I'm a mozzarella stick connoisseur.
The boss hog fries, man, I definitely recommend those.
Sounds great.
They're really good.
Sounds great. Well, look, they're way more than just a blue plate special place. They're one of the most legendary bars in the state of Mississippi, open since the 1950s. Sit in there, soak it all up, enjoy the atmosphere, get you a great craft beer or a good elixir of a mixed drink. And don't forget, they got the all-new patio there outside, covered, TVs, fans, the whole 9 yards. I'm sure it's going to be heated in the winter. It's going to be a great deal for downtown Jackson for people who enjoy that type of stuff. And Friday night, ribeye steak night, live entertainment every Friday and Saturday night. They open for the games. They open till 2 a.m., 7 days a week. That is an operation to run like that, from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m., 7 days a week. So get down there, whether it be lunch, dinner, drinks, entertainment. They do it all. Martin's downtown. Don't miss the games. They'll be on all the big flat screen TVs all throughout it, inside and out, NFL and college football. Mississippi State playing LSU Saturday morning, 11 a.m., 11:30 a.m., something like that. Go enjoy it at Martin's. And then I think followed around 2:30, you've got Ole Miss. They got Georgia at Ole Miss. So should be two great games. If they get lucky and get an upset or two, could change the trajectory of the season for the entire SEC on the East and the West.
It's what's we call it? Yeah, because you can sit. This weekend's gonna be nice weather too to sit out on that patio out there. I mean, it's gonna be like in the 80s, I think.
Yep. So get down there. We can argue politics down there. They've been doing it for years at Martin's.
Yeah.
So go down there, argue a little politics, talk about David Archie, talk about Kenneth Stokes. There's always gonna be somebody in there with an ear fart.
Oh yeah,
or an appetite for it, should I say. So get down to Martin's, check them out. Martin's downtown, jxn.com for the schedule and to get your food delivery. They got the links to all their food delivery app people down there on the website. So, all right. Sean, we were talking during the break, and you brought up a good point. Or maybe it was right before the break. Kenneth Stokes been acting a fool for years.
Oh yeah.
And he keeps getting reelected. What was different with Archie's antics? And by the way, I'm not calling any of these people personally clowns. It's just clown world. It's just the way Jackson's ran, the way Hinds County is ran. It's ran like a circus. It's just a bunch of sideshow freaks and nonsense. That's why this whole Save Jackson platform even existed. It's why I have a radio show. It's because there's an endless stream of content, whether it's David Archie showing his butt down there, Kenneth Stokes doing his thing, the mayor cutting off his nose to spite his face, hiring pimps, the zoo. It's a constant circus.
The monkey that attacked the zookeeper. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the murder rate being the murder capital of the world. These folks don't do government well.
I think Kenneth Stokes was elected in the I think the late 80s. He's been there for almost 40 years now.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was that brief time that he was supervisor. Do you remember that? Just a really brief point. I think it was about 15 years ago. And then he went back to the city council. And one thing I know about, working in Hinds County and dealing with Hinds County politics for as long as I have, like Kenneth Stokes is he's really good at taking care of his folks in his ward. You know what I mean? He's really good at taking kids to go do things and all these. He's involved in every facet. If you go around, I don't know if anybody's listening, been around his ward. I'm sure I know Clay has, but I mean, there are signs everywhere, little wooden signs that are painted in black, written in white that say Stokes. I mean, it's kind of like this is my neighborhood. Like It just has that feel of it. So I think that's different than David. I think that's maybe why he's been able to do that and get away with it, and David was not.
Maybe so. Let's take a call. Hey, brother, you on there? Hey, you're on there.
Hey, Sean, I got a question for you, man.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about Stokes need to show the evidence. Even with just say with Trump too.
You mean
Archie? Yeah, Archie. Yeah.
No, even
I can't hear you.
no judge ever ordered discoveries in the case. Why is that?
What now?
How come no judge ever ordered discoveries in any of these cases?
Well, it's
With
not.
Trump?
I don't know about the 2020, but I mean, in this case, it was just he just had a hearing before the election commission. So I don't know I don't think there's rules of discovery for that. I'm not exactly 100% sure. And circuit court, I imagine he's going to put forth whatever evidence he's got. I would think that would be the procedure for that. But I don't think it was at the Democratic. But I don't know that because I've never participated in one of those things. I'm just assuming that would be what it is. But now that he's in circuit court, I'm assuming he's going to have to put forth whatever. There's going to be testimony and evidence put in the record. So I would assume that's going to go on.
Yep. Sorry. Forgot we cut him off. He got cut off there.
Yeah.
I was trying to give him room to speak as I looked through some pictures. My phone has been sending me memories of my photos. So I'm looking at some Garth Brooks pictures, some just all kind of good concert photos. I'll have to get back to this later.
Boy, okay.
I've been to a lot of concerts over the years.
But yeah, I guess we were just yeah. You seem like you go to a lot of that's pretty cool though.
It's like the one thing that's been a consistent in my life.
Yeah,
a constant in my life is going to concerts.
Hey, I mean, there's worse ways to spend your time than going to concerts.
I mean, I could spend all my day on the Hinds County Stump.
That I just became a member of that group. It's fun. Like but yeah, I mean, Kenneth Stokes he's been just a fixture in Jackson politics for almost the last 40 years. And I think because of the way he treats his folks in his ward that he's been able to get away with that.
He ain't brought nothing to the ward.
No, I'm not, but I'm talking about, I don't mean like it's economic redevelopment there. That's not what I mean. I just mean like, he's like, he goes to people's houses, he brings,
it's poor people doing poor people stuff.
Yeah, he's involved with them, and I don't know that David Archie had that same connection to his folks that Stokes has, and where Stokes is like, I think his folks out there really think that Kenneth is fighting for them. Like he really believes. And now, if you notice, like everybody that's calling, and I think you see this all over social media. Now there's been this evolution in Kenneth Stokes, where now it's like he's like, okay, I'm now the reasonable one because. By the way, he never was stupid. Like, I mean, he never was stupid. I know people think that.
He played on
it was
TV.
An act he played. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And now he switched to like, okay, the city is in absolute decline. Let's put this on which the mayor has got a lot to do with that, obviously. And he's talking sense because he always was a smart guy. I mean, it wasn't like this was not this was an act for a long time.
Do we need a Stokes symbol like Batman, a Stokes light to light up in the night sky when Gotham's in trouble?
Yeah, I mean, well, Clay, think about this. How many people right now that live in Jackson would vote for Kenneth Stokes for mayor? I'm going to raise my hand.
I would.
I mean,
depending on who he's running against.
And who would have said that 10 years ago? No one, with the bricks, the bottles, and all that crazy stuff. I mean, nobody would have said that. But things have gotten to the point where he's the only person making sense, and everybody. When I talk to people in my neighborhood, everybody raises their hand like, "Yep, why don't we try it? What could be worse?" I mean, we've already got. I'm assuming we've got as bad as you possibly can get when there's, the pimps are getting hired, the trash ain't getting picked up, the water fails. I mean, what else? Am I missing something? The monkey's on dope and is attacking, the zookeeper. It's a mess.
The trash.
That's what I said. The trash. Yeah, the trash. Yeah, the trash. I mean, like it can't. The crime rate. I mean, all the stuff that happened, especially before Capitol Police came in. 2 years ago, it was the Wild West. I mean, it became the Wild West out there. So I don't know how it could get worse. So I'll say draft Stokes. That's my thing. Draft Stokes at this point.
Let's shift gears. Let's take a break. Come back. Tate Reeves has got some new merchandise for sale.
I saw that.
He's embraced the name Tater Tot.
I mean,
you can't make it up. This is the Clay Edwards Show with SHAUN YURTKURAN. We'll be right back on 103.9 FM, WYAB. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. All right, Sean.
Yep.
Let's jump straight in. Tate Reeves is selling some merchandise. I'm on his website. I can't find the merch, but WLBT's got an article up on it. Marshall Ramsey's got a cartoon.
I haven't seen Marshall's cartoon yet. I'm still trying to find it.
So Tate Reeves has embraced being the Tater Tot name, y'all. So he's selling some kids merch here, maybe some adult too. Anyway, the kid's like, I'm a tater tot.
Yeah.
And it's got a tater tot on it holding an American flag. And on the bag it says...
With glasses, too.
Yeah, it does
tater
have
tot has
glasses.
glasses on it.
And on the bag it says, Tate gave my teacher the biggest pay raise. I find it funny because it's absolutely 100% by design that the tater tot is holding an American flag, not a Mississippi flag, because they do not want to remind anybody about the changing of the flag.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there was a lot of polling that went into that, because I've asked why Tate's been so slow to respond to things. Well, it's all about polling. They do polling before he does anything. I'm like, man, that's what feels inauthentic to me about him.
Mm-hmm.
Is that everything's polling. It's all
do you think
about
Tate's
numbers.
inauthentic?
Extremely.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Extremely
I don't think he's the most
inauthentic.
authentic politician ever. No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Do you want to hang out at the bar with Tate? I mean, he just
No.
doesn't seem like that kind of guy. Not that matters. It's just
Yeah. I mean, they don't, me wanting to have a beer with you and you being able to be good at what you do is two different things.
yeah, it's complete. That was the whole remember the George W. Bush thing. Everybody didn't want to drink with Al Gore, but they wanted to drink with George W. Bush, and yeah, there you go.
And then it's like Trump don't even drink beer, but I still rather drink a beer while Trump talked.
Yeah, because he's entertaining. He's like just an entertaining kind of person. Yeah, I just don't know what would happen, but yeah, I don't know. Tate's but the inauthentic thing. I mean, he doesn't really seem like he's he's the most. I don't know, or just maybe just his personality. He's just very dry, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean.
Whatever it is, but get you one of these limited edition tater tot shirts. They're going to be worth money one day. They're going to be funny. They're going to be like the old political bumper stickers on the walls at CS's at some point. Like, you're going to want I'm a tater tot shirt. Yep. You may not ever wear it, but you're definitely going to want it in your repertoire, in your collection of Mississippi political history, because it's hilarious.
Yeah, I wish I'd collected a lot more of this stuff from past campaigns through the last 20 years of Mississippi. I know people do a better job of that. You saw that, you brought up CS's, and you see that everywhere. I wish I'd done a better job of actually collecting this stuff.
Me too. I've done a good job with all my concert stuff, but I've done a terrible job with anything else. Let's read some Guns and Gear text. Kind of shift gears. I thought we'd have a little fun with the tater tot stuff there. One person did text and say, Clay, you nailed it. They don't want to remind people. Wild Bill says, boom, you nailed it, Clay. Tate does not want to remind the 65% that loved the 1894 flag. I'm sure that's it. I wouldn't either. Let's see here. A lot of text on the Archie and Stokes stuff. There's a unknown texter here. People missed the point of Stokes' original comment about bricks and bottles. It was a dumb comment, but he was telling everyone that if you were tired of something, do something about it. I comment on that all the time on these crybaby town pages. Do something about it. Do something. I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, look, all these crybaby town pages, I'm a fan of them to an extent. But
what's a crybaby town page?
The Hinds County Stomp, Real Talk, Brandon, Byram, Real Talk, all those kind of pages.
Okay.
And the people that run those pages are something else, man. I mean, just generally speaking, like their life is being the admin of a Facebook group.
And it's not just that kind of group. There's so many groups like that on Facebook where they take it so serious. Where like, this is like the most serious thing I've ever done in my life. And I can't. I guess it's just like you give somebody just a little bit of power, and they're like, I'm obsessed. Like, I'm at the Nextdoor admins. If everybody ever dealt with that junk,
homeowners association presidents.
But on Nextdoor, some people are like, well, I mean, that was so in my in Bellhaven, there was a big time where you were not allowed to mention the race of the person that had possibly committed a crime, because, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, some guy is running and I can't describe him because you think it's offensive or racist or whatever it is. But like, that was like a rule in the group. Like, you had to like describe him by other features. Like, he's got a big leg. I mean, how ridiculous is that? Like, you would have to do that. So, but these admins would, if you'd write like it was a black guy or it was a white guy, they'd ban you for like, you got a 30-day ban. So like, if a crime happens and I see it because you banned me because I accurately described the suspect, then no, I can't write that because I've been banned for 30 days.
And I mean, and is it just more racist for me to have to just assume who commits the most crimes in Jackson? That must be what it is.
I just don't. I mean, I don't know how like giving a description of somebody you saw commit a crime or you like is anything but factual. Like, that's who I saw do it. I mean, I mean, that's ridiculous. Like,
woke.
it just
woke.
Well, there was one. So a guy got killed like about 4 years ago, or his body was dumped about 2 blocks from my house out in this garden over off a Peachtree, and everybody was debating on Nextdoor whether it was a murder. The guy was shot 4 times in the back, by the way. Okay, and they're like, "Well, was it a suicide?" I was like, "Probably not." And probably not a suicide. And then some guy talked about how this was like the way his shoes were off were like some old Indian burial ritual. And I'm like, this is the craziest. So I got off. I'm not on Nextdoor anymore because I'm on it, but I don't look at it because it's just a bunch of lunacy, and I'm not engaging in it. So
yeah, a black lady in the Real Talk Byram group posted a generic picture of a truck, a white Dodge truck, and said it was riding around. There were some white guys in it riding around, cussing at black kids. I said, I don't believe this. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't believe in 2020, whenever it was peak nonsense time.
Yeah.
I said, I don't believe that happened. I just don't. I think that people would have done something about it if they saw that happen. I truly believe that. I was like, I'm questioning this, and I'm kind of skipping over the girth of it, but it was just way too much to believe. I got kicked out of the group for questioning this lady.
Did you really?
Yeah. Shout out to Elizabeth for kicking me out of the group.
Oh, is that? But they take it so seriously because it's like people that have never had any little power in their or authority in their life, and they're an admin of it Nextdoor or Facebook or whatever. They're like, oh, this is like you posted something that costs less than $500 in this group, so now you're kicked off. Like, I mean, come on, go to it. I mean, it's infuriating to me.
All right, Sean, you're being called out by Taylor here. Well, it's a lot of text in here. I'm just going to try to jump here. It says, I'm not going to be able to listen when Sean's on if he's going to keep up with where is the proof. We handed it to him in 26 points Cynthia made. She's a part of the Archie group.
Gotcha.
So the 26 points Cynthia made in the press conference, he needs to listen to go through Cynthia's 26-point conference. Okay, without reading all this, Taylor, since you're listening, where can we go see the proof at?
Yeah.
Like, not hear Cynthia say it. Where can we see it?
That's what I'm asking. Where is the proof?
That's what it said. We just want to visually see the proof.
Yeah, I mean, we get that they didn't follow the proper procedures, but where is the proof that Jackie Amos or whoever you guys are alleging now is tampered with the ballots? Like, where's the proof of that? Yeah, I don't think it's a legitimate question.
Yeah, not that. How could he lose 2-1? Where's the proof that the ballot box got stuffed, votes got changed?
That's it.
That's all we're saying.
Is that a crazy question to ask either? I don't think that's crazy. I mean,
well, of course, it's digital ballot, so there ain't no stuff in the box. And I agree, they need to go back to paper ballots. We had paper ballots forever. They need to go back to paper ballots.
Yeah, I mean, just show us the evidence. That's all, right? Yeah. I mean, show us the evidence. You got it. That's great.
And nobody believes in election theft more than me. I can assure you, except maybe Kim Wade.
Yeah.
And Taylor here. Mm-hmm. I believe it's happening, but I do. There is a point where it's kind of like people always screaming racism.
Yeah.
And, it's like the boy that cried wolf. It's like every time an election goes the way we don't want it to, we can't scream election theft. I'm going to have to see some. We're going to have to overturn one of these. We're going to have to prove this at some point. I'm not going to always be on the losing side and pretend I didn't just lose. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just lose.
Yeah, sometimes you lose. And look, if David's got this evidence, he's going to go to circuit court. He's going to get to show the judge.
Yeah.
Show it. I mean, what's wrong? Show the evidence. Like, I don't see what is the big deal about that.
I'm pulling for him to be right.
I mean, if he is right, I'll be the first one to say David had the evidence that Jackie Amos tampered with this, and that's great.
And when I say I'm pulling for him to be right, it's not because I'm a David Archie fan or I'm pulling for David to keep his seat. But if he's going through all this and so many people are invested into this being right, like Taylor here, I want to see. I want to see that follow through.
Yeah,
because then maybe if it is right, we get some election clarification moving forward. We get some change. Mm-hmm. We stop the fraud. We stop Chokwe doing what he's doing. I'm pulling for him to be right because I think the ramifications of him being right are way bigger than him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look at it. He's got it. Show us. That's it. And I don't see how that's crazy to say that because the only thing that he's shown us are allegations that the procedures were followed improperly. Okay, great. You showed us that. Terrific. Now where's the fraud? Yep. Show it.
Let's take a break. Come back, land the plane for the day. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Back in. Guys, we got about 30 seconds here. Look, I know I had somebody on hold. Sorry, we ran over a couple segments, so we're not going to be able to take any calls. I will be back tomorrow to take all the bullets on this David Archie stuff. So tune in live. Sean, thank you. Good show today.
Yeah.
Again, man, all I want to see is just the evidence. I want it. I'm pulling for chaos. I want it to be chaos because it gives me something to talk about, and I would like to see some of the corruption cleaned up in Hinds County. So if we got to get there via chaos, let's get there. Sean, thanks. See you tomorrow. Peace.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow at 7 a.m. as the Clay Edwards Show discusses all that is going on in and around the city of Jackson.
This concludes our broadcast day.
Right here on 103.9 WYAB.